We're still getting
there we go
with rain. So
how we doing?
Dude, it's still wet outside, so I'm getting it about as quiet as I can get it.
It's all good. It's all good. We'll get the headphones in. I just rock the headphones in here. All right, let's go ahead and get this thing started. What's up, guys? John Sintez, Alex Rojas, Let's Win a Ball Game podcast. My guy over here, we've excited. We got some updates. We have a new Instagram page that we've started. We're working on a YouTube channel and also getting the audio version of this onto Apple Podcasts as well as Spotify, anywhere else. So please be ready. Please be ready to like and subscribe everywhere. We're going to be pretty excited about that. We also will be dropping a shirt and, I don't know, maybe a water bottle. I'm not sure yet, but definitely a shirt. We know we can do that. So we'll be on the lookout for that. We'll have that on the website when we get the website made. And so, yes, but today's podcast, very exciting because we really wanted to go over the most favorite time of year of everybody, which is, hey, happy World Series season, guys. Happy World Series. Welcome.
We're here.
If for the people that understand the non-baseball world, because, there's the baseball world and the non-baseball world, when you walk by a person and you say happy World Series, they give you that weird look like, did he just wish me a happy? Yes, it is. It's that time of year. So anyway, what's up, my guy?
So when I was on, I went live and I was talking about so I went back and I watched the first episode of what you and I were talking about. My favorite worst baseball player, who wasn't even a bad baseball player. I just couldn't figure out why a man that's built like Julius Peppers does not throw 100, right? It was boggling my mind. And his name is Oates Guerra, and he plays for the A's. And then we were talking about Will Smith today. And one of the things we were talking about with Will Smith was his spin rate was on, right? He was spinning that ball at a very high velocity. And I went back, and you were talking about spin rate at a certain RPM. No, I'm not going to say which RPM because you know it, I don't. But after that, the ball starts to rise. Mm-hmm. It was like every 100 RPMs after X, the ball will start to rise, and that's the riding fastball, right? And then I watched what you posted on your page, and I was watching this riding fastball against all these Dodger hitters, and if you were to zoom in on the baseball, and you would have seen that RPM on that thing at 94 plus miles an hour, 93 plus, 95 plus, anything that's spinning like that, it's like the illusion of the eyes. Because what we were talking about in that first episode, if you go back, we were talking about what the hitter sees versus the reality of what's happening. And it's it almost sounds like if you're a fisherman out there, you'll understand the idea of what water does in terms of where the fish is in reality to where you are is a lot different when you're looking through water. And it's almost like that idea where you have this weird, well, the ball is here. It's not there because you think it's going down when in reality it's on this. It's like in between this weird plane, right? It's like no man's land. And
well, okay, so let me go into that too, because there's also maybe some brain tricks going on there too, because the slower you throw it, the more it arcs at the end, right? So it's probably a little bit of a learning curve, right? And when the ball doesn't spin enough, then it has that little arc dip at the end of it, right? So the faster you throw it, the less it does that arc, right? And the more spin it goes through, then it really doesn't do it. And so, I watched, there was a beautiful video on will Trevor Bauer return to the big leagues or not, on YouTube. I think it's like, Does Baseball Exist? Great YouTube channel. And they went over his spin rates of pre-17 or 18. One of the years, what was I guess it was 19. Yeah, it was 19. So 2018, he had a spin rate fastball of average around 2,000 to 2,100, somewhere around there. And the year he won his Cy Young, his average spin rate was almost 2,900. And so I don't know of another way to increase spin rate besides something like that maybe
This
that maybe
podcast is
here.
sponsored by the Sticky Stick.
But I do know saliva, bubble gum. There's a bunch of different things that people do to this, and it's not exactly a easy process to learn and master. It's definitely difficult. Ask yourself when you watch a reliever and he spikes a first pitch breaking ball well in front of the plate, why did that big leaguer look like a 12-year-old all of a sudden? That was weird. That was just really weird. I've never, and you see it more and more lately. I remember, back in the day that the class and clout of the pitcher and the announcers, if you bounced a breaking ball well in front of the plate, the announcers might even laugh at you, as the game was going on. And that might get around ESPN, And
You don't
so
want to be laughed at.
yeah, you don't want to be laughed at. Definitely not. You want to be intimidating as a pitcher. You don't want to be somebody's friend. So take that information on spin rates and stuff, and I want to jump into our baseball savant stuff. Are you ready? Because this is exciting. We got 2 probable starting pitchers. By the way, first of all,
wait, hold on. Can we pause for a second?
Yeah, I'm sorry. I jumped ahead.
Is Trevor Bauer not going to play baseball again at a professional level as good as he can?
I believe here's my prediction.
Does anything make you feel more OJ than that move right now? Like there's such a what?
Right.
Sorry for those of you who are like, I'm just like it's weird for you to disengage as hard as you're doing, and just like it's hard to. It just reminds me of Terry Bradshaw having a reality TV show now. It's just like, what are we doing? Like, what are we doing, bro? Like, it's I don't know. It's this whole like trying to keep eyes on you, I think the easier thing would just been like, I don't understand how hard this stuff is, right? But playing at your highest level is the platform that you can be forgiven by the people instead of distancing yourself from the people. Maybe he feels like he can contact more people with YouTube. Sorry, you said that and I was like, that's the craziest concept. Like maybe the best pitcher in the big leagues having a legal hiccup that seems to be resolved, right? Seems to be resolving.
Nope, we're still in the middle of it.
Okay, so one of them, I think, but I know a part of it was resolved, right?
Well, let me update you.
Yeah.
Real convenient that the day after the season ends, when his contract is done,
yes,
right? He starts going live on his vlog again and posting on social media. So I have a feeling that he might want to influence public opinion. I would say that might, because I imagine this thing's going to trial. If there is one thing that's going on with this, and in a game of he said, she said, and that's how it is, it's all good. You know what I mean? It's got to be a process of how everything has to come out. You know what I'm saying? Like, you got to put all the cards on the table for us to understand what's happening. And so whether that's going to happen or not, I think it is a problem that someone who is that good and spent that much time, if it comes out that he is innocent, that he would lose time, because time is more valuable than money to me. And so I empathize for him in that situation, but obviously we don't know until we know. But that being said, I can predict that he will probably go to Japan and play there for probably a year or two. I would say he would do that.
So let's talk about like he
needs a rebranding.
War, right? Like that dude,
right.
If you talk about the idea of really winning baseball games, that dude's war is very high. Mm-hmm. He can win a baseball game for a team, right? Mm-hmm. You score one run, he can throw 9 out there for you. Is it going to happen every time? No. Is he going to throw a CG shutout? No, right? But he has the proponency of helping. Has he ever won 20-plus games?
Ooh, good. I don't know. Let me pull this up. Let me see what we got here.
Because he's a guy, like, we can go a whole bunch of ways with, like, how to win a baseball game with that guy. Like, that dude on your Diamond Dynasty, the show, like, what that dude can do is pretty incredible.
He has his own Baseball Savant page. I'm excited. Oh, my goodness. Look at this. This is exciting.
Like, you could run all day with his spin numbers and, like, how that pertains to spin illusions, like we were talking about earlier. because like that's one thing that I wanted to talk about with this World Series is the Braves play a little bit more. We're telling our guys the information, but we're not strategizing our game off the information. The Dodgers seem to strictly use that information. Like one of the things that I heard at the end of the Fox coverage or the TBS coverage, I think it was Jimmy Rollins who said it, was, you got to look at the statistical errors here. And I'm like, whatever happened to just being a better baseball team? Like, just like you got better baseball players. You can punch in numbers all you want, but eventually you just need guys that can play. Watching the Astros get their absolute doors kicked off the first 2 games and bounce back and win that thing was very impressive. That's a baseball team. They've got numbers. They've got all this stuff. But the Red Sox scored 13 runs, went up 2-0. A lot of people were like, this thing's over. And the Astros came back and put it on. So I'm curious to see how the data comes into this series. Because both teams kind of use it, right? Everyone uses it. It's not a thing that people aren't using anymore. It's been a part of baseball forever, right? But this collection of stuff that you got on Trevor Bauer, right? That's very telling, right? What does it tell us about Mr. Trevor Bauer?
Yeah, it's interesting, right? Like, one could say, you could make an argument that he might have been the missing piece to what the Dodgers might have needed, because like if you heard Pedro Martinez in the post-game interview, he destroyed the Dodgers, saying, how do you go be the most aggressive team at the deadline and get some absolute monsters like Max Scherzer and all these guys and have one of the best, if not the top 2 starting rotations in Major League Baseball, and then not use them how they're supposed to, right? Next thing you know, Scherzer goes down with a dead arm, right?
Yep.
You also had Joe Kelly go down with bicep tendonitis, Gratterall. Like, he just abused everybody, right? He's like, oh, yeah, we can throw one inning, no problem. No, you can't. It is not that easy if guys don't have, because this is what's exposing the inefficiencies of what some of these guys' mechanical issues are, right? If your mechanics produce you to be sore so much that you can't go every day or every other day or full bore like that, then there has to be something that's causing a problem, not necessarily the performance side of what it is. So if you can only throw at 100% capacity and health every 4 days, then that's the safest ratio for you to stay within. But if you decrease that rest ratio too much, then this is what happens.
Baseball, you can't keep plugging shit into numbers. You can't keep relying on the sabermetrics. You got to just play the human element every once in a while.
100%. 100%.
If the Dodgers had a healthy team for just their starting rotation, you take out the other Max Muncy, and you can even say the guys that have their wear and tear throughout the season, but you just add a Clayton Kershaw and a Trevor Bauer, that's a 5-man rotation that's very hard to deal with. Then you have a bullpen, so from one standpoint, you got to take care of your body, guys. Clayton Kershaw's body is, he used his body pretty well throughout his 20s, and he's in his early 30s, and he can't carry it through, which kind of sucks to watch. Because how old's Albert Pujols? How old's Theo? Like 44, 42? No, he's 57. He has to be 57 years old. Whatever he is, right? Whatever, right? He can't swing anymore. He's like, you know what I'm saying? Like, Father Time gets
his attack angle is wrong. Come on, it's not that he can't swing.
Well, that's also, think of his body, dude. He can't kind of move his body like he used to.
Bro, he's swinging at his left shin. Let's be honest.
That's what I'm saying.
He's not even getting underneath it like old Pujols. Like, we used to see this guy go,
dude, his stance, I looked at a video of his stance. His feet couldn't have been any wider. Couldn't have been any wider, right?
But his barrel path was so much better. His barrel path was so much better.
That's all he was doing. Now he's like leg kicking, and he's off balance because he has to do more to do that.
Because he's old.
Because he's Theo. He's not King Albert anymore. You know, that's crazy. Like when you lose your nickname for like Uncle, you know what I mean? You go from King Albert to Theo.
That's funny.
Like, man, that's a tough one. But speaking of, like, I really want to talk about what we talked about in episode 1 really does play with who's pitching for not only the Braves, because we talked about left-handed pitching today, right? But we also know that the Astros got a lot of great breaking ball guys. Like, they have a lot of phenomenal breaking ball guys. I'm not sure how their starting rotation is. I really haven't kept up with most of their play from the starting rotation standpoint. I knew from the start of the season that Pedro Alvarez was going to be absolutely horrifying for pitchers to deal with. Is that his name? The left-handed first baseman for the Astros?
Yordani?
That dude is – I watched him play the A's. The A's were playing a shift on him, right? And he goes oppo 3 times for 3 extra base hits as a left-handed hitter. You know, it's just – they're going to play baseball, right? But do you think that the right-handed hitters of the Astros are going to be able to compete with what the left-handed options of the Braves are?
One more time. I'm sorry.
So you just, what we talked about with the Dodgers, right?
Oh, yes.
They don't hit lefties very well. That's what we found out.
Right.
So what's going to happen with these Astro guys?
Well, I think you have a different beast because you have to play a different game, right? So that's a great question. Let me go. That would be some savant answers right here.
These are the guys that I'm thinking. I'm thinking about Correa. I'm thinking about Altuve. I'm thinking about Bregman. Now, granted, you still have Brantley. You still got Tucker, right? And those are 2 left-handed bats. You've got Alvarez. That's 3 left-handed bats. I couldn't say that's any different than Seager, Bellinger, and Gavin Lux, right? Like, it's very symmetrical.
I would say that going on the probable starters, you get Charlie Morton, also former Astro, going against the Astros as a Brave, maybe knowing the Astros a little bit. So I think there's an even deeper layer of what this is. So we got a right-handed starter to set up the left-handed lineup. I think the lefty bullpen is going to be – we're going to see all right-handed starter, I think, because you could bring Max Fried out of the pen if you wanted to. You could you could go BS opener to do – because I don't hate the opener idea to force a certain lineup if you're really going to strategize it, right? But do it the right way. Like, let the starting pitcher come in the second inning and just ride it. Don't put him in for an inning or 2. Don't make it a bullpen game. So, you know, if you get Max Fried throwing spinners against all those guys, like, I don't know. I think he's going to be fine because, like, as long as he gets locked in and he can execute his pitches. So that'll be the interesting part. So the Braves bullpen and the left-handed Fuego that's in there is very potent. So I'm excited to watch what these matchups will produce and what all of this numbers and data and all these hot zones will go with, because you know we talked about Charlie's numbers the other day about everything and just looking at comparing some of these pitch stats. We have Jordani, first pitch swing percentage, 55. Kyle Tucker, 58. Castro, 58. Cormick, 57. Correa, 57. Siri, 69. Gurriel, 59. I mean, these dudes are hacking, dude. These guys are hacking. They're just swinging. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is not a normal brand of baseball. And it makes a lot of sense because you see a lot of these guys first pitch contact even. You know, what's that? You know, there's a lot of good data into this. Michael Brantley, 63. Jake Meyer, 61. Bregman, low, 57. Diaz, 69.
You said low,
Maldonado,
57.
I know, right? So we flip over to the Braves side of this, and it's not
we
even
found
close,
that out.
dude.
They were a little bit more conservative.
Exactly. Right?
Except for Giannis. Yeah. He's up there.
Right. On average, definitely. I mean, you could easily say 5 to 8 points lower. So, like, they're still swinging, right? So
that's
we still
significant,
have
though.
Well, it's
5 to 8 points is very significant.
You got a 50-50 chance they're cheating first pitch, which means if they're cheating first pitch, they're cheating second pitch, right? So, like, if we can get them to swing mode, then we can start getting them to chase mode.
Right? So
now you're looking at it down.
Right? So now you're looking at the ideas of, right? So if I can get you to, say I'm spinning it well, right? So if I'm spinning it well, all I got to show you is a good first pitch fastball. Because guess what? 50-50, you're swinging it. A lot of the situations that we saw dictated based on previous at-bats, right? Mookie Betts taking 2 absolute meaty fastballs, but because he was set up earlier in a abnormal fashion, right? Just off speed, his eyes weren't set up for that. So it depends on, like, I would like to see if Baseball Savant has inning by inning, or like 7th through 9th, a guy is definitely going to be predominantly on the Dodgers. They seem to be a little bit more conservative, because they were getting set up to do that. It seemed like.
Right. I agree. It definitely, the Dodgers, I think, underestimated the understanding that, like, lefties can get righties out. Like, it's okay. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like I have an even larger arsenal against a lefty than I do a righty, because, like, you have more space to, because, like, running things arm side almost feels more foreign to most people than not. It's a very hard thing to get used to, especially when you stand on the far right of the rubber like I do. So I don't feel like the holes are created the same way in the game that I'm playing. So when you play that game, like what Charlie Morton's going to be doing, where he's going to be running the cutter, curveball, and slider off the outside corner, he has to establish the fastball inside. And he tried to go sinker inside last time and just couldn't get strike one. So if he gets ahead with that, then I find the Astros having a very difficult one.
And you're looking at basically, what I like to say is how you enter a game early, like the first half of a football game, right? Like a coach has their first 50 plays always scripted, right? Like, but if you want to go super gamesmanship, sure, structure it, but you understand what the adjustments are on the other end, right? So, like, yeah, if we have this structure in place, then we're going to have this available later, right? Mm-hmm. Instead of just this age-old baseball of fastball outside, get them leaning outside, then they're ready for the inside pitch, right? Like, kids can go deeper than that at a higher level the earlier you expose them to that. Because if I'm just going to go out and say it, if my kids are playing your kids, I know what you're telling me, right?
Yeah,
so I know
exactly.
I'm going to be telling my kids, like, all right, the normal baseball you guys play? It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen.
That's not going to happen.
You guys are going to see some strange sequences that are going to make you off balance. So what you should be more in tune with is, what is the pitch making you do? It's making you lean that way? Okay. Why do I want you to lean that way? What is your swing doing? Instead of teaching kids just like, hey, let's hit the opposite way, right? Like, it's just sparring. It's just, you got to spar with different, it would be like a Kumite of dojos, like Cobra Kai versus Team Daniel LaRusso, right? You would have to do that.
Name dropping.
Right? Like, I'm not afraid to say I loved Cobra Kai. It was a little crazy, the end of season 1. Like, this kid gets, like, kicked, and then he's in the hospital. It's really, really crazy. But what I'm getting at is, like, just the understanding of how people play baseball games adds to your toolbox instead of just constantly playing your game all the time. Like, how many kids really understand why their lineup is set up the way that it is? Like, we've had conversations in our facility, right, like you do with parents, to teach them how the game is organized from, like, a roster standpoint. Well, I need 3 catchers because that guy plays football, right? He could get hurt, and he also may not show up. And instead of necessarily understanding how that layer works, it's like, oh, like, I need to be good at, like, all these different things. People get caught up in that they're not playing, which, yeah, playing's important, but, like, you're a big staple of the game because you can play many positions to help the team win. That's how the team's structured, right? And if a team is structured in a best way for it to perform, right, you got to tell the kids that. I think that's one thing maybe we should explain to kids is like, do you know why I bet this guy fourth? Yeah, he strikes out a lot. But have you ever seen him hit a fastball? It's amazing, right? And, like, kids don't argue with that stuff. But it's because of guys like you, and I'm pointing the finger at you, that you've exposed that layer of just like, you're not teaching kids this? Like, teach them to take a first pitch fastball when they're down by one. Awesome. Hey, guys, if you score one run, we're pretty much going to throw strikes the rest of the game. Like, like that's what's going to happen because you've seen the pattern of play, right? It's a robot baseball. They're not paying attention and growing with it.
Right. Yeah, it's obvious. You know, when that's what I'm excited about watching this game and seeing. You know, we'll know within the first three pitches what kind of game it's going to be, right? I mean, are they in Atlanta or are they in Houston?
I don't know who won the All-Star game. Is it like that still?
I think it is. I think it is. Let's find out.
Which I like that because at least it gives them some percentage of accountability to show up. Like they're just like, I want to win today.
Houston. We're in Houston.
So we're ending in Houston.
Yep, and the Braves are 88-73. And I saw a stat the other day that was the first team with the lowest, or the latest past 500 in the history of the game. Like, they didn't get over 500 until August, like August 12th or something like that.
Yeah, and I know,
coincidentally, when they got Jock Peterson, by the way. Coincidentally.
Dude, there was this writer in Chicago that when he was playing for the Cubs, he had a bad week or something. And you know how big city writers are. The headline was, Jock Peterson is irreparable from his previous form. I'm like, you're saying he's just done? I'm like, we're in May. It's May 14th. What are we talking about? And then the next day or so, he hit like 3 bombs. And then he gets traded to the Braves, and like, look what happens, right? Like, he's Jock Peterson. So, whatever. But I wanted to ask you this: what do you think is the keys to victory for both teams? Let's talk about that.
Well, you know, the Astros can swing it, right? So I mean. It's just going to be matchup based. I really think it is. I mean, each at bat is going to be so important because, you know, all 9 guys in the Astros are a threat, but the Braves are equally as a threat. I mean, look at the leadoff guy, right? I mean, the Twins forgot about him and then just gave him up to the Braves, and then this guy just ties the record for most hits in a playoff series. What? So, I mean, it's going to come down to – it's going to be a one-pitch game. It's going to be very excited because it's going to be who makes the first mistake, whether it's the first guy to hang a ball or the first – you don't really see defensive mix-ups, but I'm going to call in one. I'm going to call a bad read maybe a bad read. Maybe somebody banana routes it because that's the mistake to me. A banana
Who's got
route –
the better defense?
Well, the Astros do for sure. They're definitely better coached on angles and stuff like that. So if Jock Peterson's playing right field, that'll be an issue. I'll say that.
Oh, yeah, for sure. If he's DHing, cool with that.
Right. So, you know, I think so we'll start off. So we got 2 games in Houston. So the Braves' ability to lift the ball to left field is going to be very interesting as well. So if Framber goes, let's go into some data here.
Funky Freddy. I'm calling Funky Freddy goes deep tomorrow night. Oppo like taco.
Dude, he loves to flick it too. He loves just a little.
He only has to hit it 300 feet. That's a fly ball. He just has to square a fly ball up to left field, and it's gone.
Yeah.
If he was like Adrian Gonzalez, if he could have done that in Boston, he would have hit 1,000 home runs.
Right.
Just hit a fly ball to left field. A little bit harder in Fenway. It's 40, 50 feet higher than Astros, but you get my
Isn't it funny? I'm so glad you said that, too, because isn't it funny when guys leave ballparks that they don't necessarily know that strategy was in their own favor, that they're not the same guy?
That was the old Colorado Rockies thing.
Right. I mean, Todd Helton never left. Like, why don't you want to leave? Like, I hit 340 like every time why would you leave here?
Been an all-star every year. I just stay here. Why would I go anywhere?
we'll win here, right? I mean, God, that makes a lot of
They
sense.
played in the World Series. They went 7 games with
Right,
the Red Sox.
Right, Ubaldo, right? Ubaldo Jimenez.
I
Okay,
called him
so
Larry Holiday.
I'm
What's
gonna
his
go
name?
over. I got a real interesting baseball savant on my 2 starting pitchers, and then I'm gonna make my prediction on game 1 here.
Okay.
I got Framber Diaz or Valdez, right? So his launch angle on average is -5.5.
The pitchers?
Yeah.
Wow.
His average exit velo is 90.8, so pretty average. Hard hit percentage, though, is 44%.
Okay. Guy's hammering it into the ground. Who gives a shit?
But I mean, no. Think about that. What you're saying right now. You're hammering it. You could actually play a 3-piece easy game, right? You could stay middle.
Yeah.
You could stay middle and 6-hole and just be like 6-hole. Then he's going to hang one and lift, right? And if you can get your guys to execute that, I mean, because think about it, Rosario is going to play that. He's going to play dump game on the curveball. So he's going to get up on the plate, open up, and hit it over the first baseman. That's what he'll do. Or he'll do the same thing and dump it over the shortstop. Or he might even bunt. Because, I mean, Framber can fill his position, but
what's Framberg's average?
297.
297. So
he's
given up a lot of base hits. They're
right.
throwing him out there for sure with confidence, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because what's he done in the postseason? I really don't care.
Hot.
I love
He's hot.
I love ground balls, dude, and I love the middle for the Braves. I think Austin Riley's a good third baseman as well. And, Funky's going to pick it all day long. So you've got the best infield for this guy, probably, right? The best infield for this guy. If he was a fly ball guy, you got Duvall in center field. It's a little sketchy, right? That's kind of
right.
Duvall, Peterson, or who else would play right? Oh, man, what if Acuna was in this series? Holy crap. You got him in right field?
Acuna, yeah.
Acuna.
He was
Is there an Enya? I don't know if I see an Enya.
It's Acuna.
Yeah.
He was walking around out there looking like a panther when they won the NLCS on the field right there, and you could just see it like he wanted to play. And I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, crazier shit's happened. I mean, look at Kirk Gibson. He didn't have a knee. You know what I'm saying? But who knows if he's even tested it out? I mean, it's real early in the process. You would hate to ruin a knee over, you know what I'm saying? And it's not like he's not a threat in the box, but because I mean it was his right knee, right? So that's his torque leg. You don't even know how that's going to go.
Yeah.
And he doesn't. And you know what? He knee slams sometimes too, right? So he really torques that inner ACL.
Every Latin guy tends to knee slam because it's quicker.
Yeah. Right.
It is. It's quicker. Like it's a quicker move, but it doesn't necessarily supply you more lower half power. We don't have to go into the weeds, but let's focus on what I'm talking about. Is the reason why I think I'm an NL guy. I'm going to take the Braves in this thing for sure. The whole thing.
I'm with you. I'm with you on the Braves and the whole thing. And game 1 to the Braves.
But I'm going to give game 1. Then I know you want to do your thing, but. That defense, I think, if Fromberg's hot and you've got a good defense, they don't shift a lot. And you got a pretty good Astros hitting team. Why would you shift a whole lot on those guys? Like, they're good at hitting the baseball. Just play a little bit more straight up, right? I think you'll be okay. But I still stand by those 2 guys up the middle are really going to change the game. If Fromberg does get hit hard, I think those 2 are going to be what save the game for the Braves. If they don't, it's going to be a hard night for the Braves.
Mm-hmm. True. But the Braves do have a rather, the bullpen backup situation should be interesting, and I think we'll see the 7-game marathon if the Braves, whoever goes to the bullpen early, I think is going to lose it. I think
the Astros are sprinting in front of people.
Right.
Like 5 runs. It's like, boom, they're gone. It's like, oh, shit, we gotta start moving.
Yeah, exactly. So if they pull that and get to the Braves bullpen early, I don't see this thing going past 5 games.
But if the Braves are gritty and they can win these late games, yeesh.
Yeah,
Yeesh.
face Freddie Freeman 4 times. Woof.
It's not going to go well. Dude, facing the Astros lineup 3 times through, the Red Sox proved that it's a very hard thing to do. But keeping the Astros silent for 2 games wasn't that hard for anybody else to prove. Like,
Correct.
The Red Sox did it. The White Sox did it. Like, they shut down those bats. Now, the Braves haven't, I think, been shut out in the postseason as bad as 2 runs against the Dodgers. It's like a 4-2 game, but, like, it feels like when the Astros lose, they lose big. But when they win, they win big, too. It's almost like an Alabama type thing. Like, it's just like they're blowing people's doors off. So, what's your prediction for Game 1 score-wise?
I'm going to – oh, my God. I mean, let's see what the over-under is, actually.
I would say it's a 5-4 game. 9.5 sounds like a pretty solid spread.
Yeah, it's 8.5.
8.5.
And then the over-under is 20, too. So, you know what? I mean, God, what if that – does that means it's going to be like 10-11? Is that what you're trying to say?
Is that going to be a barn burner or an absolute shutout?
Right, exactly.
We're going 15 runs for the Astros, 14
yeah, I could see
for
like
the
a 9-6 actually. I could see something like that, like a 9-6 or maybe like a 6-1 or something. But something where they're
I think. I don't think that's their game. They can, but
you never know. You never know. A couple big hits, you know? I mean, it's not like they didn't have opportunities. You know what I mean?
Especially in a small ballpark.
Yeah, and the Braves had big opportunities with runners on, and you never know what's going to happen with little jam job home run or something.
Isn't it crazy the Astros have like a left field that's like 300 feet away?
Yeah.
Like, that's wild.
That's what I mean, the ballpark should be small. Like, let's be honest.
Right?
We should have the DH. We should have the DH. The balls should fly, and the ballpark should be relatively small. Nobody came here to watch singles. Let's be honest. Okay?
Right. I wouldn't argue with that, except I love defense. I love watching the center fielder run a ball down. So the shorter the fences are.
I know, but you still get that, right? You still get that
100%.
in this game. And it actually probably gets even more fun because it's smaller field of play, which means there's more chances for outfielders to make better plays. So you got to remember that.
For sure. Definitely.
Right. Like those flares turn into this real exciting. David Justice. Oh, yes. Thank you, David.
So to end this thing, because we both got to get moving here, I have to get some of these highlights done for this show in particular. We've dropped some absolute knowledge bombs. And we gotta get some curriculum, kind of balled up, packaged out there. But last thing that I want to talk to you about before we leave is we talked last time about Charlie Morton, right? And we're talking about what's his name? Framber. Framber. Who's pitching for the Astros?
Framber.
Oh, okay. So who's pitching for the Braves? Excuse me.
Charlie Morton.
Okay. So I had those two things mixed up. I apologize. So
it's okay.
If we're going with Correa, and Altuve up the middle, dude, I definitely got I think I got to change my prediction for Game 1. I think I'm going to take the Astros in Game 1. I had that mixed up. I had the ground ball guy mixed up. I'm going to take the Astros in Game 1, but I think the Braves are going to get more hits than the Astros tonight. I think the Braves are going to have a better offensive showing a little bit. I still got the Braves winning the whole thing, right? I still got the Braves winning the whole thing. But, what I see from the Braves is, almost like a college baseball team. They seem to really buy into these, and I hate saying this, it's almost like Friday Night Lights. They love each other. And, the Astros have it, too, because they've been together for a minute. The Astros have been together since 2015, 2014, right? But I think this is the first team that the Astros are playing that's almost just like that, right? And I just like how the Braves play baseball. I really do. So I'm going to change my prediction. I think it's a close game. The Astros win, but the Braves show up. It's a close game. Braves take the whole series, though. I'm not sure how many games. Right?
Sounds good. Great one. Good prediction. We'll see. We shall see tomorrow. 5 p.m. Pacific, 5:09 first pitch.
I was going to say, it's like 5:11 or like 5:17.
Yeah. And for those that don't know, it's the national anthem plus announcements of players. That's the reason why, the weird start time.
You don't want to do any coverage about the game, in the stadium.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? You don't want to do that.
Yeah, exactly.
You don't want to talk about what we're about to witness here.
100%. 100%.
Act like you've been there. That's the baseball thing.
Yeah. Oh, this is my first World Series. Hey, act like you've been there before. Okay.
Okay. All right.
Don't be emotional. Okay.
Hey, nobody on the Braves has been in the World Series but Charlie Morton.
True. Very true.
Everybody.
And that's why
Uncle Astros has been
That's why I'm going on Uncle Charlie there. I'm going on Uncle Charlie.
Yeah.
In Houston, and listen, you got to think about humidity. Oh, he gonna be spinning it.
Yeah, he is.
He's gonna be doing. He ain't gonna be slipping out of his hand. That's why I bet you that's why he loves Atlanta and he loves Houston, because the ball's probably easier to hold to spin. I'm not going to be a curveball guy in New York, right? What?
Oof. Be a cutter
Let's
guy.
run down to Florida. Let's run down to Florida where the humidity is and be a curveball guy there.
If that's the case, the Marlins should have the best pitching staff in the league.
Hey, Jose Fernandez had an explosive slider, right? Explosive giant slider.
That dude was the best. Oh my God. Wow. If you have not watched Jose Fernandez, you're watching this podcast right now.
We need to go watch some games with him. We need to go commentate and watch some games. That would be amazing.
I'm going to pull some YouTube up on him right now with what we just talked about. Like, I'm not joking. Yeah. I'm not joking. Anyways, thanks, guys, for tuning in. John, close this out, my friend.
Yeah, let's win a ball game on Instagram. We'll tag everything in the show notes right here. Thanks, Alex. I appreciate it. You have a good day. Keep crushing. Talk to you soon.
Later, buddy. Thanks, you too.